Hi folks, I hope you're well. Welcome to this little video. I'm just going to walk you through my tent, sleep system and cooking kind of system, I suppose. I don't know why people say system, it's just stuff that you use. I'm up in the Highlands, I'm kind of mid-tour, and this is a little bit of a real world just walk round of the stuff that I use. I'll probably forget and mangle the names of the kit, so as I make mistakes, I'll just put the actual name up on screen for reference. Starting off with the tent. So this is a Naturehike, I think it's called a Cloud Up, and it's a kind of a two-man tent, but for me it's just a really comfortable one-man size. It comes with a ground sheet, and you pitch it in a first, unfortunately, but it's a fairly easy tent to put up, and it's got a little bit of fencing on the back. I put this up in the almost darkness last night, so it's probably not put up the the best it could be. Nice wide entrance, and again, sorry about the mess, but I am on tour and it's a real world walkthrough. One of the real advantages of this tent for me over the previous tents that I've used is that I can sit fully upright in this, and I really kind of value that. It's just so handy for stuff you want to do inside your tent, and particularly when the weather's not great. And yeah, I've still got a couple of centimeters kind of headroom when I'm sitting fully upright, so that for me that's a big plus of this tent. One of the other things I really like about this, it doesn't pack down particularly small, although it's certainly small enough to go kind of backpacking and bikepacking, but it is really light in my sort of experience. I've actually used some old kind of traditional type tent pegs, but tent pegs that it's supplied with are these really super lightweight little aluminium things. So I wouldn't pitch this in kind of gale force winds. I'd always want to try and find a sheltered spot, but I think things like the really light poles and pegs do help to keep the weight down. And if you've got a pannier big enough to kind of take the slightly extra size, I guess, over the really ultralight kind of bikepacking tents, it's well worth it, because it is a nice light tent. Right, let's go through the keyhole and I'll show you my sleep system, aka stuff that I use to sleep. So just coming inside, I've actually used on this trip for the very first time my new mat. This is a Alpkit, I think it's called a Cloud Atlas. Is it a Cloud Atlas or Cloud Up? I don't know, I'll put the right name on the screen. It's super small, really packable, very lightweight, very easy to inflate. It's also quite cold. It got down to -3, -4 last night. I'm using a kind of 3-4 season sleeping bag, but I was wearing all my stuff, and you really feel on these kind of mats, because there's no internal insulation, there's nothing inside that but air. You really do feel the cold, or I do, like coming up from the floor. I have a thermarest, which would have been ideal last night, but excuse me, that's a much bigger and much bulkier piece of kit. This actually for bikepacking is absolutely fine, but yeah, just do, I suppose, take note that if you feel the cold, you might want to just have a think about whether that's an appropriate sleeping mat for you. So as I mentioned, the sleeping bag that I use, it's well, on this trip it's a 4-season bag. It's a Vango Viper. I'm not even sure if you can buy these anymore, so this is probably about 15 years old, but super warm, and as it's getting down to kind of -3, -4 at the moment in the Highlands, I really needed a kind of 3-4 season sleeping bag. The pillow that I use is let me just get the name, it's written somewhere on here. Okay, here we go. Sea to Summit Aeros Ultralight Large, and honestly this is the most comfortable camping, backpacking, bikepacking pillow I've ever owned, and I spent years and years just not being kind to my neck and using all crappy supermarket pillows and rolled up coats, and I just never found anything that worked until I bought this a couple of years ago. And honestly, if you're in the market for a wild camping or a camping pillow, they're not cheap. Go out and buy one. They're just full of air, and you feel a little bit offended at spending the money on something that is just basically an airbag. But honestly, the way it's designed is super comfortable. So yeah, Sea to Summit Aeros Ultralight Large with a 4-season sleeping bag, and that with wearing a few clothes as well. Admittedly with a mat, which is just a little bit more lightweight and not particularly thermo insulated. That just about kept me warm in -4 last night. So. Okay, let's have a look at the cook system, aka stuff I use to cook with. Usually when I'm out bikepacking and backpacking, I just take a gas canister. Is it butane or propane? I don't know, but I take a regular kind of camping gas canister, and then I just take a little kind of burner. But I've bought for this trip, and I'm so glad I have again, none of the things I'm mentioning, just by the way, I'm connected to or affiliated with or anything like that. This is just things that I've bought, and kind of giving you my honest opinion on. But I bought what's called an Alpkit BruKit. It's just a big, I don't know, litre, maybe more than a litre cooking pot, and then you get the burner. The burner has a really nice, sorry, am I pointing this camera at the right place? Really nice kind of gas control knob thingy, but it also has an automatic ignition, which is really handy. Now I've obviously got a backup lighter and matches, but yeah, this is super cool. And then the pot thing just locks into the top. It's really sturdy. You get a little plastic stand for your gas canister as well, which is really handy, particularly on slightly uneven ground like I'm on here. And yeah, it'll boil a ½ litre of water in no time at all. It's just super cool, and it's great for those kind of summit to eat packs of pasta and chicken curry and all that sort of stuff that seems to be all the rage for for bikepacking sustenance these days. So yeah, Alpkit BruKit is absolute wunderkit in my personal opinion. So there you have it, a little run through the kind of tent, sleeping mat, sleeping bag, pillow and cooking equipment that I use when I'm out bikepacking and while camping. It all goes on the bike, obviously, and I could go lighter. I could certainly get more packable kit. I could, the sky's the limit, I think, in terms of how much money you can spend on gear and kit. And I do like buying the odd kind of new thing and trying it out, which I've done on this trip, but I'm also quite a firm believer in kind of use what you've got, and if you find stuff that works and you're happy with it and you can use it, there's not necessarily any reason whatsoever to change it. And new doesn't necessarily mean better for you. So yeah, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little walkthrough, run through bits and pieces that I use. If you have any questions about any of the kit that I've showed you, please feel free to drop a comment, and I'll do my very best to answer them. Right, I better, having talked about bikepacking, I better go and do some and get today's miles in. But yeah, please do, if you'd be so kind, consider liking and subscribing to my channel. It's really helping me out and helping me to get this little fledgling YouTube channel off the ground. Otherwise, stay safe, take care, and happy cycling. Bye.